Let's be honest for a second. Trying to figure out high school graduation requirements can totally feel like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while blindfolded. I mean, between the credit counts, the state testing, the constantly changing laws, the overwhelm that students and families feel right now, it is entirely justified. But here's the good news. Getting that diploma in New Jersey isn't actually a mystery. It's really just a multi-year blueprint. And in today's explainer, we are going to completely demystify that blueprint for the class of 2026. So let's just dive right into this. To keep things simple, we've broken this down into 6 clear buckets. First, the big picture. Then, course and assessment rules, alternate pathways, IEPs and individualized plans, the financial aid curveball, and we'll wrap up with your action plan.
All right, starting off with Section 1, the big picture.
Okay, so graduation in New Jersey is really anchored by 2 main pillars. First up, you have your course-based requirements. This is the stuff you do every single day in the classroom, right? Earning your credits, passing the classes your district requires, and meeting those New Jersey student learning standards. But then, on the other side, there are your assessment-based requirements. This is where you actually have to prove your academic proficiency in English language arts and math. So the absolute crucial takeaway here is this. You could be perfectly on track academically in your daily classes, getting straight A's, doing great, but you still need to satisfy this specific testing requirement before anyone is handing you a diploma. It's a 2-part equation. Let's get into the specifics in Section 2, Course and Assessment Rules.
Say hello to the NJGPA. That stands for the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment. You can really just think of this as Plan A. It's an assessment they give you in the 11th grade, and it's built directly around the state's learning standards for English and math. Now, if you take this test and you meet the Graduation Ready Cut score on both sections, boom, congratulations. You have officially satisfied the assessment requirement. It is by far the most direct route to checking that box and moving on.
But look, we need to pause here and just address the elephant in the room. What if you don't pass the NJGPA? If you don't hit that cut score on one or both sections, it is incredibly easy to panic. But seriously, take a deep breath because New Jersey has planned for exactly this scenario.
Which brings us to Section 3, Alternate Pathways. The state actually relies on a safety net that we like to call the Rule of 3. So if Step 1, that NJGPA in 11th grade, doesn't quite get you there, or if you retake it in the summer or fall and still fall short, you simply move to Step 2. New Jersey allows you to use substitute competency tests. We're talking about exams you might literally already be taking for college anyway, like the SAT, the ACT, the PSAT, or the AccuPlacer. Each of those has specific cut scores for English and math that the state will accept. Now, if Step 2 isn't the right fit either, actually, don't worry because there is a Step 3, the portfolio appeal. This opens up in 12th grade for students who took the NJGPA but just didn't demonstrate proficiency that way. It's a much more comprehensive way to show your school that you've mastered the material through a collection of your actual work. So you've got Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C. You have options.
Moving right along to Section 4, IEPs and Individualized Plans.
For families navigating special education, it's really important to know that a student's disability status doesn't automatically remove graduation expectations, but it absolutely can change how those expectations are met. For students in the statewide assessment system, their IEP, their Individualized Education Program, is basically the guiding document here. The IEP team can specify alternate ways to meet these graduation assessment requirements. In fact, in some specific cases, students with significant intellectual disabilities might even be exempted from the statewide graduation assessment entirely. The state strongly advises that IEP teams begin planning for this as early as possible, like ideally in the 9th grade. It's all about tailoring the path to the student's actual needs.
Let's shift gears for Section 5, the Financial Aid Curveball.
Listen up. If you belong to the graduating classes of 2026 or 2027, you need to pay very close attention right now because this next rule applies directly to you.
So, under a relatively new development, it's Public Law 2025, Chapter 95. Students in these specific cohorts have to meet a financial aid application requirement just to receive their high school diploma. Yeah, you heard that right. This means you actually have to fill out financial aid forms or, and this is crucial, obtain a local waiver. This is completely separate from your math tests or your English essays, but it is now a mandatory part of the graduation conversation. Because this is so new, the absolute most important thing you can do is verify the specific waiver procedures, deadlines, and required documentation with your local district. Please, do not just assume your school handles this automatically behind the scenes.
And why is it so incredibly critical to verify? Well, the New Jersey Department of Education noted that the class of 2026 assessment requirements were adopted by the State Board of Education on October 8, 2025, and were expected to take effect right after publication on November 3, 2025.
I mean, that is incredibly recent. This timeline just proves a vital point. Graduation rules are not static. They can, and they absolutely do, change from one class year to the next. You literally cannot just rely on the general idea of New Jersey graduation requirements or, what your older sibling had to do 3 years ago. You have to know the rules for your specific graduating class.
All right, let's wrap things up with Section 6, your action plan.
So here's a quick checklist you can literally take with you to your counselor. First, plan early. If you have a younger sibling in middle school or 9th grade, tell them to start looking at this stuff right now. Second, actively track NJPAD testing and retake dates on your school's own calendar. Third, be proactive. Ask your school counselors exactly which substitute tests are available and what cut scores you're going to need for that second pathway. Fourth, if you or your student has an IEP, get in there and review the graduation language with your team to ensure it perfectly matches the student's needs. And finally, for sure, confirm how your specific district is handling that brand new financial aid application requirement and the waiver process.
Well, there you go. We've officially decoded the state's blueprint. You know about the courses, the NJGPA, those alternate pathways, and that completely new financial aid rule. But I want to leave you with one final question to think about. You know the state's blueprint now, but what are your local district-specific deadlines for the class of 2026? Remember, the state sets the minimums and the framework, but your local high school is the one that actually executes the plan. So let this question be your motivation to reach out to your school's counseling office today. Make sure your personalized path to that graduation stage is locked in, crystal clear, and 100% ready to go.